What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Breaker, number 29 in the G.I. Joe Classified series. He's also part of the Cobra Island line of figures, which are technically Target exclusives, but Hasbro Pulse also had them up for pre-order to make it easier for people to get their hands on them. And I do think that Hasbro deserves a lot of credit for taking the steps, listening to the community. I think it was kind of hard for them to ignore it, because if you ever looked at any of the live streams, anytime Cobra Island or Target exclusive was mentioned, the chat just lit up. There were messages all over Facebook. People were calling the Target headquarters. People were calling Hasbro. It was crazy. But you guys who've been collecting this line for a while, you know all about the Cobra Island fiasco, so I'm not gonna talk about that anymore. Hopefully those days are behind us. So Breaker is another figure that kind of has a nostalgia factor for me, because he was one of the first G.I. Joes that I got as a kid, and there's some that stand out more than others. I was pretty young when the line first came out, so when I first started collecting them, I just remember bits and pieces. But Breaker stands out because I do remember his headset. For some reason that sticks into my mind. His backpack, the little wire that ran from the headset to the back. For some reason, the accessories that came with Breaker really stand out to me. We finally got a vehicle for the Joes. Previously, we had the Baroness with the Cobra coil. So this is kind of G.I. Joe's answer to that. Getting straight into it, looking at the accessories, as I mentioned, Breaker comes with the ram cycle. There's also an attachment for the ram cycle, which the Gatling gun gets stored in. No backpack is included though. I guess technology has improved, so now he doesn't need the backpack. Everything's contained within the helmet. And of course we get the Breaker action figure. When I first saw him in the promotional shots, and even now looking at him in the packaging, he's a pretty basic figure, not a whole lot of colors going on, but I think the community was pretty vocal in stating that, you know, they don't want a lot of crazy colors, golds, and all this stuff. So I think Hasbro listened and just kind of gave us something that was pretty true to what Breaker looked like in the original form. He has his sleeves rolled up and he's sporting primarily green. Looking at the box, we get some nice artwork on the front and the side. As always, Breaker's main attributes are listed on the other side of the box. On the back of the box, we get kind of an expanded view of Cobra Island. The artwork from the inside of the box is also pretty interesting. There's a lot of detail in it. As you can see, it looks like the headquarters of Cobra Island is being viewed maybe through a drone or something. I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comments what exactly we're looking at here. And that's about it for the box. So let's go ahead and get him out of the box, get the cycle assembled, and take a close-up look. Alright guys, so starting out with the Gatling gun, one thing that pretty much immediately jumped out at me is this is the same mold of the Gatling gun that came with Roadblock, the heavy artillery version. I did a review on that. If you haven't looked at that, check it out. But the one that comes with the ram cycle is of course done in black. But what stood out to me is that it does not include a drum like you see attached to Roadblock's Gatling gun. However, because it is the exact same mold, you can take the drum off of Roadblock's Gatling gun and attach it to the one that comes with the ram cycle. Okay, so taking a look at the ram cycle, I do have part of the carrier for the Gatling gun attached to the bike. That helps keep the bike stabilized as well, so you don't have to worry about it tipping over. So as you can see, you just insert the Gatling gun and then peg in the other side of the container, and that's pretty much it. Alright guys, so looking at Breaker, we do get some reused parts, but so far Hasbro's been pretty good about being able to reuse parts, but still make the figures look unique. And being that they are part of a team, you would kind of expect that they would share some of the same types of gear. So the recipe for Breaker, basically what you have here are Snake Eye's legs. I think the boots are new and specific to Breaker, but if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. The arms come from Duke, which were also used on Flint. I had Flint handy, so I just had him stand in, but they were originally seen on Duke. And the upper torso piece is from Beachhead. Now, once again, we get a vest. It looks like an all-new designed vest. but man, it really limits articulation. There pretty much is no ab crunch at all. I wish they would have started going more so with the harnesses, and I hope they go that route in the future, because it really helps you retain that articulation while still giving the figure a little bit of flair, like we saw again on the Heavy Artillery Roadblock, who uses the harness instead of a full-on vest. So hopefully Hasbro starts moving in that direction, because it's kind of like, what's the point of having ab crunch if you can't use it? And also kind of a downside is there's no easy way to remove his vest. You could probably pull off the arms, I guess, and be able to slide it up, but I mean, nobody wants to go through that trouble really, so having a way to connect it would have been useful, so if we wanted to take it off, we could, but unfortunately we do not get that option. But with that said, I really do like the design of the vest, and I guess the plus side to the vest is it helps kind of hide some of the breaks in the figure. So it's kind of a give and take. You lose some articulation, but it does help the figure look more streamlined. Alright, so here we have the complete package. Breaker on the ram cycle, Gatling gun installed, Breaker has his helmet on. I will say that as a complete package, it all comes together. And I'm also happy to say that the vest does not hinder Breaker from being able to sit on the motorcycle in any way, so that's a good thing. When putting him up there though, I would suggest heating up the hands just to make sure that you don't break anything, because they are pretty tight, and so you're going to need to loosen them up a little bit to get his hands around the grips. I do have his feet pegged in as well. I've seen on some figures in the past, not necessarily G.I. Joe classified or anything, but a lot of times when you peg the figure's feet onto the bike, it tends to make them sit up real high or something. You know, it's kind of tricky to work with, but in Breaker's case, no problems at all, really. You know, once you get the hands on the grip, you're pretty much all set. Just sit him down, peg his feet in, and that's about it. It looks like he's actually sitting down. It doesn't look like he's floating or hovering over the seat like we've seen some figures in the past. The Gatling gun also looks good there on the side. I think that's where I'm going to leave it. And you can turn the wheel without having to worry about his hands coming off, so that's also a good thing. So that wraps up this review of Breaker. For my final thoughts, I'd say if you're a G.I. Joe fan, this is definitely one that you're going to want to pick up. Yes, you get some reused parts, but you're probably going to have to get used to that, because that's something we're going to see. And like I said, it doesn't really bother me, because I think they did a good job of choosing which parts to use. The ram cycle impressed me a lot more than I thought it would. I like the colors that they added in there to kind of give it a little bit of flair, make it pop. The headlight looks good, the tail light being red, the gunmetal on the engine. All those things come together to give the bike a realistic look. I do like the fact that you can remove the Gatling gun, but I would have liked to have seen them include a drum with it, like I mentioned. The container that holds the Gatling gun has some nice detail on it. I think they could have added a little bit more paint just to make it pop some, but overall it looks good. The Gatling gun barrel, I also would have liked to see that in a gunmetal. It's solid black, and while that looks good, I think gunmetal on the barrels would really set it off, so that may be something you customizers out there want to do. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, go ahead and do it. What are you waiting for? Hit the like button if you enjoy the content that I'm putting out. Much more to come. The next video up is actually going to be the Commando version of Snake Eyes with Timber, so keep an eye out for that. And if you didn't watch the Heavy Artillery Roadblock review, give that a look as well. Thank you guys for watching. As always, thank you for your support, and I'll see you on the next video.